Today is June 11th, 2019. More Obama and Joe Biden corruption and fraud being exposed. This is from the website that I pulled up. WOLA, Advocacy for Human Rights in the Americas. I want you to pay close attention to this. This is very important. This is why we have a migrant crisis coming across our borders. Those caravans, those illegals from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and now the Congo of Africa with Ebola. There's a reason for this. Most people think it's because they're trying to seek a better life. Well, it's all a lie. Do they look like they're really starving, any of them people, with their designer tennis shoes and designer cell phones and designer backpacks? I want you to read what I found. And it doesn't take a whole lot of brains to research this. You just got to have a little smarts. And I realize most of you don't know how to do anything but tweet and Facebook. Obama's $1 billion is in boy. Central America request. Great news. Now to invest wisely. This is from February 2nd, 2015. February 2nd, 2015 is when this article came out. Obama's $1 billion Central America request. So let's look at this. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to read it through with you. Smart investments must effectively target corruption, violence, and poverty. Yeah, that's a good little headline there. On February 2nd, 2015, the Obama administration released its fiscal year 2016 budget. Remember, this is 2015. This is the budget for the following years, 2016. Request, including $1 billion fund for Central America. Well, let's back that up again. Including a $1 billion, as in boy. $1 billion fund for Central America, meaning taxpayer money going to Central America countries. According to the administration, the aid is intended, that's U.S. aid, not Band-Aids, U.S. aid, taxpayer money, your tax-paying dollars, is intended to assist the governments of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador in addressing the epidemic levels of insecurity and violence, poor governance, and lack of economic opportunities driving migration from the region. I'm going to reread that because I'm going to get into something here. The aid, the taxpayer dollars, $1 billion, is intended to assist the governments of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador in addressing the epidemic levels of insecurity. We're going to stop right there. How many of us out here are having a lot of insecurity and have the last 10, 15, 20 years? Job losses, health crisis, family member dying, don't have the money for funeral. It's insecurity. How many of you out here live in the city, New York, Chicago, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston, Miami, face violence? Maybe you've had a family member killed in a drive-by shooting. Maybe they were shot and killed in an armed robbery. Maybe a drunk driver hit them head on. Maybe they were a victim of gang violence. Quite a few of you here in America. It also says poor governance. Well, that just about explains the whole entire Obama administration. We know that for a fact. Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Debbie Wasserman, as well as the Bush administration. George Bush, Dick Cheney, that whole administration of GOP conservatives, with all the fraud going on over there in the Iraq and Afghanistan war, which I was a part of, witnessed and seen it, took photos of it, and blew the whistle. Yeah, I'm a whistleblower. That's a whole other story. I want to stick to this. And lack of economic opportunities driving migration from the region. How many of us here have some loss of economic opportunities depending on what region of the United States you live in, meaning Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, parts of Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Idaho, Montana, Northern California, Arizona, and especially New Mexico? Quite a bit. But we're worried about these people down there, so we're going to give them 1 billion, as in boy, taxpayer dollars. This is Obama, the Obama administration, in 2015 on February 2nd for fiscal year 2016. This is what the Democrats are trying to hide from you all with this Trump investigation, along with a whole lot of other things they've been doing. This Obama administration. Hillary's in on it. Joe Biden's in on it. All these Democrats want to see Trump impeached and all this phony investigation with the Russia collusion. This is one of the things they're hiding. They took 1 billion as in boy, of your taxpayer frickin' dollars and been sending it down south. And that's why you're seeing these people flooding our United States border, because Trump cut it off. Yeah, when he became president, he promised he'd quit sending money to these violent foreign countries down there where all these drugs are coming up out of. Well, because of it, they're sending all their citizens up here, flooding the border. Do you see how that works? You cut our aid off, we're going to send millions and millions of our citizens to flood your border, causing a crisis, an invasion. They're trying to hide this. The whole Democratic Liberal Party. And what really pisses me off, a vast majority of the GOP Republican conservatives, not all of them, but a vast majority of them, are sitting on their fucking asses, not doing or saying a damn thing and bringing any of this out. Yep, the GOP Republican conservatives, whether you're a representative, a federal judge, a congressman, a senator, huh? Thank God for people like Trey Gowdy and Jason, I can't remember his last name. The threefold increase in funding for the region demonstrates that the administration, that's the Obama administration, this is from 2015, is serious about tackling the underlying causes that have made Central America one of the most violent places in the world. Stop right there. Really? Gee, back in 2015, 2014, 2013, we were having a substantial increase in violence in Chicago, Baltimore, other Democratic cities in the United States. I didn't see Obama and Joe Biden too awful worried about any of that. I did not. Did you? I didn't either. Read on. Made Central America one of the most violent places in the world, expanding the U.S. strategy from a largely security-centric approach to one that seeks to strengthen democratic institutions and invest in economic growth. We're going to read that again in case you didn't get it. Is serious about tackling the underlying causes that have made Central America one of the most violent places in the world, expanding the U.S. strategy from a largely security-centric approach to one that seeks to strengthen democratic institutions and invest in economic growth. I'm going to stop right there. Strengthen democratic institutions. In other words, Obama administration sent $1 billion down there to Central America, and Hillary has ties to Central America. Where do you think she got some of that money to run for office in 2016, 2017 against Trump? So that money, that some of that $1 billion, if not all of it, was funneled back through bogus, phony means to Hillary. Not directly under Hillary's name. You can bet she had some front operation set up to get those funds. You just don't have it wired to your bank account under Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. You got to be smarter than that. So they set up some phony fronts, some phony organizations, and had that money sent back undetected. Nobody's watching. And those emails that she got in trouble for, wide open, she just thought she had this bagged. The American people are so damn stupid and dumb, and the news reporters out here are so damn brain dead and brainwashed by the commie liberal colleges and universities, and they're being told what to say by their corporate minions at CNN and MSNBC and NPR and ABC News and NBC News and CBS, because they're all a bunch of commie liberal bastards. So the reporters are being brainwashed and told what to say. Well, here it is. This is the part of the truth bomb. Right here. $1 billion in aid for Central America. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the very countries that are invading us, along with Mexico. I'm not looking for any viral views. I don't have that big a channel. And I don't care to put my face on there and just talk and ramble, because I'm not interested in being on camera. I'm interested in showing you people what I'm uncovering that I'm not seeing anywhere else on YouTube. Either because you don't know how, or you're not that dialed into fraud and corruption and haven't worked with the FBI like I have. And it just goes on and on. I'm old school now, but this was years ago I did all this. And I'm trying to show you people my knowledge of what I know with fraud and corruption, embezzlement, money laundering, shell companies. And that's what I'm trying to show you, if you'll pay attention to it. So if you want to click on my deal and watch it, I don't care if you subscribe to my channel or not. I don't beg for subscribers. I'm not into that shit. I'm just trying to show you people what I know from my previous experience in investigative work and undercover research, and I'll shed light on it. That's what some of my videos are, and I'm not a professional video maker. I don't have time for it. Strengthen democratic institutions and invest in economic growth. Strengthen democratic institutions. That kind of worries me a little bit when I see that. Didn't see anything in there mentioning about strengthening their governments down there, ridding anything of fraud and corruption, just strengthening democratic institutions. I can only imagine what those are. The substantial increase in financial support, in other words, U.S. aid to Central America, and recognition of the need for a more comprehensive agenda to address the violence and economic challenges facing the region is an important step in the right direction. Challenges facing the region. Now, we got our own challenges back here. Obama and Joe Biden, whatever your name is. You don't seem too interested in the United States, which leads me to believe that evidently you are communist, Marxist traitors to the United States of America. You're a fraud, a phony. However, the details and implementation of the plan will determine whether the new strategy is effective. The The large number of Central American children and families who crossed the U.S. southern border this past summer made it clear that unless the factors that originally drove these children to flee are addressed, many will continue to seek refuge in the United States. As Vice President Joe Biden, now I'm going to highlight this, if I can, if my little mouse will let me, right there. As Vice President Joe Biden himself noted in a January 29th, 2015 New York Times Open Ed editorial, the security and prosperity of Central America are inextricably linked with our own. Where do they get these words and all these notions and all these delusionary ideas? Love the way they talk. They must practice a lot on how to bullshit people like a used car salesman. President Joe Biden himself noted in a January 29th New York Times, of course, New York Times, the communist Marxist newspaper in New York, the security and prosperity of Central America are inextricably linked with our own. No, you mean your own, not our own. We ain't too worried about them down there. We got our own problems there, Mr. Joe Biden, who's running for president as of 2019 to try to unseat Trump. Gotcha here, Joe Biden. I hope some good Fox reporters or some good independent reporters pick up on this and chase down that New York Times Open Ed piece from 2015 and bring it back and let it haunt him like everything else is coming back to haunt Joe Biden. However, addressing the violence, poverty, and desperation in the region is not merely a question of resources, but one of choosing smart investments. Just forget about the money. Just worry about the investments. It's only $1 billion of your taxpayer money. The ability of criminal groups and the wealthy and well-connected to avoid arrest, well, that just about sums up the entire Democratic Liberal Party. The ability of criminal groups and the wealthy and well-connected, to avoid arrest, Hillary, Bill Clinton, and the rest of her gang, or should I say mob. To avoid arrest and prosecution remains one of the main obstacles to improving citizen security and the rule of law in the Northern Triangle. Improving citizen security and the rule of law in the Northern Triangle. For a minute, I thought they were talking about Chicago. No, they ain't talking about Chicago. They're talking about Central America, as it facilitates the spread of organized crime and violence. Yep, I thought we were talking about Chicago under former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, another Obama-ite. U.S. funding should be carefully directed. Very carefully, very carefully directed to those countries or agencies that have demonstrated the political will to tackle these hard problems and deal with corruption and weak institutions. Should be carefully directed right back into the Hillary campaign fund secretly through phony shell companies. U.S. assistance and Central American government investments must be accompanied by far greater transparency than we have seen in the past. But this is all just words and smoke. It's just a lot. They're used car salesmen blowing smoke. As the administration unveils, that's the Obama administration, the details of the new U.S. strategy towards Central America, significant attention needs to address the deep-seated corruption and lack of accountability and transparency that has hindered citizens' access to basic services and weakened state institutions. Boy, that sounds like our country right here in the United States, don't it? Read that again. As the administration unveils the details of the new U.S. strategy towards Central America, significant, very significant attention needs to address the deep-seated corruption. The Obama administration, and prior to that we had the Bush-Dick Cheney administration, and lack of accountability and transparency that has hindered citizens' access to basic services. Well, that ain't no shit. That's us. If I didn't know any better, they were talking about us right here in the United States. And weakened state institutions. Well, that definitely sounds like us. I think, boy, that sounds like the United States the last 25, 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. Said Adriana Beltran, WOLA Senior Associate for Citizen Security. To be effective, aid for citizen security, aid, that's U.S. aid, foreign dollars, tax-paying dollars, your money. Aid for citizen security must be paired with a sustained effort to improve governance. Engage civil society and make public investments that can generate jobs, particularly for young people and others who do not currently see a future for themselves in their own home countries, said WOLA Senior Associate Mark Hansen. Engage civil society and make public investments with your tax-paying dollars that can generate jobs, particularly for young people and others who do not currently see a future for themselves in their own home countries. Well, let's see. All those corrupt politicians in Central America can hire car hops, chauffeurs, to drive their lazy, corrupt, pathetic, filthy ass around. I guess that's economic opportunity if you live down in Central America to work for these corrupt politicians down there that's getting our U.S. tax dollars down there. Because that's what it boils down to. Because we ain't seeing nothing that it's done. $1 billion down there ain't done a damn thing, and we ain't seeing it up here. Or all those people wouldn't be fleeing your Central American countries to come up here. It is in U.S. national interest. It is in U.S. national interest. That's where I'm at now, in the blue. It's in U.S. national interest to make this new strategy for Central America work. What about the United States? How about our dollars? How about making it work here? It's our money. We should be investing in ourselves. We got a lot of homeless in L.A. and San Francisco. They got poop and pee on the streets in Nancy Pelosi's district and Maxine Waters' districts. And they're Democrats, liberals. They don't even have the money to clean up their own poop and shit in their own streets in their own district. It's in U.S. national interest to make this new strategy for Central America work, which will require both adequate funding, more of your U.S. tax dollars. I like the way they adequate funding, like they're trying to hide something, and the political will, meaning the Democrats and some of the Republicans, to address the underlying causes of violence and lack of opportunity that is driving Central Americans to migrate. Causes of violence. I thought they were talking about Chicago again. Damn it, they keep talking about Central America. When are we going to talk about the United States and get off Central America? Can't we need to take care of ourselves first. You need to clean up your own house before you go around taking care of everybody else's. As Congress considers the specifics of the administration, that's the Obama administration's request, it ought to ensure that the assistance package to Central America, includes clear metrics, meaning a lot of dollars. A lot of your tax-paying dollars is what that means. Your hard-working money. That's what the metrics are. But instead of using the word dollars, they changed it around to metrics. That's what a metric is. A whole lot of metrics. A whole lot of your metrics. $1 billion of your metrics. To evaluate whether U.S. assistance, meaning your dollars, your tax dollars, $1 billion tax dollars of your hard-earned money that you pay taxes right out of your paycheck and any other taxes you pay. Yep, that's what that means. U.S. assistance, your help. You're so giving. You Americans are just so giving. You're so naive. You're so giving your assistance. Thank you. Thank you very much. It has achieved the desired results and ensure that support is given to those governments. In other words, support is given to those governments. Read it right there. Support is given to those governments. The governments in Central South America. You know, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras. Your support. Not your mental support, not your physical support, not your emotional support, your tax dollars. That's what support means, but they don't come out and tell it like that because then it would open up the door and people would catch on. So they talk in circles like a used car salesman trying to sell you a piece of shit that ain't worth a damn. That's how they talk. That way they can fool most of you smart people who went to college and those overglorified universities. You'll believe all this shit because that's what you've been brainwashed into believing and buying into, because that's what they do in those colleges and overglorified commie institutions known as universities. They brainwash you dipshits. So you talk in circles like this. And this is how they end up talking when you watch them in Congress and giving Senate hearings. They do the same thing. They talk in circles like a used car salesman. They don't talk like normal Joes, working guys like me, you. No, they talk in circles like a used car salesman. Support is given to those governments. In other words, your money, your tax dollars, your hard-working tax dollars, your kids' tax dollars, your kids' tax dollars. Even those who are in the grave, their tax dollars. And agencies committed to, oh, I like this, agencies committed to strengthening the rule of law and tackling high levels of poverty and inequality. Agencies committed to strengthening the rule of law and tackling high levels of poverty. You mean like the UN, the United Nations, who's helping to funnel all those caravans up here to our border and encouraging it and inciting it? You mean like those agencies? I get it. Or how about that? People with no borders agencies. Yeah. Those agencies. So money needs to go to these agencies to fund their corporate people inside to steal your money so they got a job into the billions of dollars. They're stealing your money so they can live a grand lifestyle at your expense. It is in U.S. national interest to make this new strategy for Central America work. It's in U.S. national interest. How's it in my interest? It ain't doing nothing for me. I'm not getting nothing out of it. Are you getting anything out of it? Mark Dice, are you getting anything out of it? What did you get out of $1 billion being shipped to Central America, Mark Dice? Paul Joseph Watson, I know you're not in the United States, but did you get anything out of it? No. Millie Weaver? No. Conservative Resurgence, did you get anything out of it? Didn't think so. How about High Impact Vlogs? Did you get anything out of it? I didn't think so. What are we getting out of this? Besides watching our money, like Ross Perot said. For those of you who are old enough to remember the presidential debate in 1993 between Ross Perot and Al Gore. Do you remember when Ross Perot said all we're going to hear is that giant sucking sound of our dollars headed south to Mexico? That's what Ross Perot said. All we're going to hear is a big sucking sound of U.S. companies going to Mexico because there's no tariffs. They can make it cheap down there. And And the money's going to flow down there from the government. A giant sucking sound. Or in terms that I like to explain more bluntly, and I'm a little blunt, a little more verbal about it, a blowjob. That's the sucking sound Ross Perot was talking about. An all-out, full-scale, full-blown blowjob. Yeah, that's the sucking sound we got here in the United States. That's what Ross Perot was talking about. Except he was being nice about it, because at the time in 1993, when he was having that debate with Al Gore on live TV, on CNN in 1993, he had to watch his language. I'm telling it like it is. All we did was get a blowjob out of this deal. That's that sucking sound that Ross Perot was talking about. Yep. It's in U.S. national interest to make this new strategy for Central America work, which will require both adequate funding and the political will. In other words, the political corruption, the lies, the bullshit. Told you I was a little more upfront and blunt than most people are. I don't play. I'm not nice with my words, I guess. I just tell it like it is, and if you don't like it, I don't much give a fuck. Will require both adequate funding and the political will to address the underlying causes of violence and lack of opportunity. Wow. So they're more worried about down there than they are our own cities here in the United States, and our own people, our own citizens, and our own military veterans, and our own homeless, our own people that are possibly out of work. No, they're going to ship $1 billion down there and then tell you when you go to sign up for unemployment, or should you fall on hard times for 3 to 6 months and need a little assistance from the state or federal government, that they can't afford it. We just don't have the money. Well, that's why. They just sent $1 billion to Central America in 2015, 2016 under Obama. We won't even go back to George Bush and Dick Cheney and all the money they blew over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, rebuilding Iraq and Afghanistan only to have it tore back down. I can attest to that because I was there. I'm a member of OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was not in the military. Repeat, I was not in the military, but I'm not going to go into what I was doing. And no, I was not a member of Blackwater either. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this because people need to wake up. Definitely need to wake up. Obama's $1 billion Central America request. Great news now to invest wisely. How many of you even knew about this? No, because some of you are too busy worrying about your movie stars and what dress they wore, what heels they wore, who your favorite sport players are at the NFL and your baseball teams. You're more worried about that. Well, the shit's getting ready to hit the fan in your own country, the United States. Many cities are getting ready to be infiltrated with thousands upon thousands of illegals, criminals, MS-13 gang members, terrorists, and some now with viruses and plagues from the country of Congo in South America. As approximately 400 of them just arrived this week in San Antonio, Texas, from an Ebola-plagued country. And none of you are too concerned. Remember that when you sit there at your NFL football games and your baseball games. Life's just unicorns and fairies, isn't it? Don't know about some of you Americans. You're running around with your head up your ass. You're just the same type of people that get in your car and drive down the road, and you've never, ever lifted the hood or checked the oil in your engine. And now all of a sudden you're pulled over alongside the road because you heard a knock. And you got 2 or 3 pistons or connecting rods hanging out your block because your engine run out of oil because you were too lazy, dumb, and ignorant to check your own oil. Now you got a major problem that you just blew your engine because you weren't paying attention. Too lazy, ignorant, and stupid, full of excuses why you couldn't raise the hood and check your oil. The same way with this country. You're not paying attention because you're deviated from what's going on. You need to be paying attention to what's going on in your own city, your own state, and your own country. And running around like an idiot, not checking your oil, something eventually is going to happen. You're going to be pulled over alongside the road, and your engine's going to be blown. Same thing with this country. You don't pay attention, all hell's going to break loose, and you're going to be standing around with your thumb up your ass going, well, I just don't understand why. What brought all this on? Because you weren't paying attention, so you don't know. And if you're going to listen to CNN and MSNBC and ABC, especially ABC's The View, you're not going to know jack diddly shit because they don't want you to know what's going on. Their goal is to dumb you down, make you ignorant, stupid, and they're doing a damn good job of it.